Please identify yourself and your organization. You can at most ask 3 questions. Mr. Chair, please. Good afternoon. I would like to start with a few words on the Sun Oak Lang Holding Center, and then Mr. Kong will carry out some clarifications. He'll give you figures concerning our actions, including the number of students arrested, and then Mr. Liu will talk about the coming weekend public meetings. And then after the public events in the past, there were arson cases and the hearing of petrol bombs by the rioters. We have also collected intelligence to show that some rioters would like to add some chemicals to the petrol bombs so as to enhance its lethal strength. We have invited Mr. Ng from FSD to tell you about the threat to our lives and properties, and then I'll summarize. First of all, Sun Oak Lang Holding Center. It is under the division of Dagu Lang, one of the standing detention facilities of the police force, completed in 1979. In relation to the facilities, security, and the detainees' privacy, all of them are in line with the policy requirements of the police. Generally speaking, in ordinary times, the Sun Oak Lang Holding Center has been used for the detention of illegal immigrants. In future, we'll continue to use it to deal with the illegal immigrants. Since early June, among the anti-amendment bill operations, on 4 occasions, Sun Oak Lang Holding Center was used as a temporary detention center, namely between 5th and 7th of August, 11th and the 13th of August, 25th and 26th of August, and the 1st and the 2nd of September. On one occasion, 17 arrestees were handled, and then 75 were the largest number involved. In relation to the use of Sun Oak Lang for other detention purposes, in the past we had the foreign considerations. We have to deal with a large number of arrested persons. Individual police stations cannot cope, or it is chaotic in the urban area, or the urban police stations or detention facilities are under attack. And I have to emphasize that if we haven't got the law-breaking activities of the rioters, we don't need to enforce the law. And without large-scale arrests, then there's no need to resort to Sun Oak Lang as a temporary detention center. I have noted that in this operation, the use of Sun Oak Lang Holding Center has also caused a lot of speculation on the part of the public. And in fact, there have been quite a large number of unfounded allegations. And therefore, since the 2nd of September, we have not set up a temporary detention center at Sun Oak Lang. I have to emphasize, for Sun Oak Lang Holding Center, in terms of the overall security and safeguarding of privacy, all of them are in line with our policy requirements. Within Sun Oak Lang Center, we have also made sure that the arrestees have their rights safeguarded. For previous operations, when we set up a temporary detention center at Sun Oak Lang, I would like to add 3 points. First of all, we've noted that as far as media reports and online news were concerned in relation to Sun Oak Lang Holding Center, there were different allegations saying that sexual assaults of female arrestees and also arrestees being beaten up. So far, we have received 2 complaints in relation to Sun Oak Lang Holding Center. None of them is related to sexual offenses. I have to repeat, most of them are not founded, they are unfounded, untrue, and we have clarified a number of times. For the time being, we are not setting up a temporary holding center or detention center at Sun Oak Lang, but this has nothing to do with the untrue allegations. Second, when compared with other centers, Sun Oak Lang is rather remote, and when we have to deal with a larger number of arrestees, it takes more time to handle the cases when compared with the ordinary times. And as a result, perhaps of this, because of this, the arrestees and the lawyers may have some misunderstanding. Well, I have to say that irrespective of the location being used as a place to detain the arrested persons, we will follow the established mechanisms to safeguard the rights of the arrested persons. Say, for example, if it doesn't affect our investigation or without judicial procedures and without causing unnecessary delays or obstruction. The arrested persons are entitled to seeking legal support, and they have also got the right to receive treatment. If they are not feeling well or if they are injured, the duty officer will make sure that the person involved will be sent to the nearest public hospital or clinic as quickly as possible. To make sure that the detainees understand their rights, all of them, upon arrest by the police, will be given a notice explaining clearly all the rights that they are entitled to. I have to make sure that, irrespective of the place used as a detention center, will follow the established procedures to safeguard the rights of the arrested persons. We are stopping the use of Sun Uk Lang as a holding center. This is not because of the untrue and unfounded allegations. Rather, we have taken into account the speculation or the large number of speculation in relation to this place, as well as the fact that the place is rather remote. I want to say that there have been a lot of allegations concerning the operation as well as Sun Uk Lang, but then they are mostly unfounded, not true, and it would just confuse everybody. And regarding the couple's complaints, we will follow them up seriously. Mr. Kong, please. Thank you. As of the 27th of September, we have arrested 1,596 persons. And today, I would like to highlight the number of students arrested so far, in particular comparing the figures of arrests before and after 1st of September. From 9th of June up to 1st of September, when the school year started, during the summertime, the police arrested 1,046 people. Among them, there were 257 students, including secondary school students as well as tertiary students. Just now, I gave you a figure of 1,596 in total, so they accounted for about 25%. And then the school year started on the 1st of September and up to the 27th of September. During this period of time, we arrested a total of 550, and among them, 207 were students, accounting for 38% of those arrested in this period of time. We can see for ourselves that since the commencement of the school term, we have seen an increase in the ratio of students being arrested. We are worried. We believe that this is because there were public activities that were not peaceful, not orderly, and violent. Some young people took part in such activities, and as a result, they have been arrested.
If the young people was due to the spirit of the moment, impulse, or they didn't well think out to commit such crimes and leave a criminal record, they will affect the rest of their lives. And I believe that's not what the society would like to see either. Especially those who took part in serious crimes, for example, rioting, the maximum can be 10 years imprisonment. For arson, the maximum sentence can be life imprisonment. Because this is not role-play games. In this world, there's no fire magicians. We only see arsonists. Like in last weekend, outside the Mongkok police station, we arrested one young people who took part in arson. He was only 16 and will have been charged with arson. I here to appeal to all the young people and the students. Before committing such illegal acts, they need to stop and think. The teachers and the parents would need to keep a close eye. They would indoctrinate them. If they took part of such kind of serious law-breaking activities, they should intervene early before they committed some irredeemable mistake. And I'll talk about the past arrest figures. And on Monday, 23rd of September, the police have arrested a total of 4 persons in Chunman and Chunmun, 3 men and 1 woman, aged between 16 to 48. The charge with possessive of offensive weapon and possessing equipment for illegal purpose and possession of corrosive substances. And on the 24th of September, Tuesday, and police have arrested 15 people in Shatin in Mongkok, including 12 men and 3 women, between 14 to 31 years old. The charges were illegal assembly, possession of offensive weapons, and criminal damage. On the 29th of September, Wednesday, the police have arrested 2 persons in Shatin, including 1 man and 1 woman, aged between 16 and 17. They are charged with illegal assembly and assaulting a police officer. On 26th of September, Thursday, police arrested 1 man in Yuen Long, which was aged 19. The charges are possession of equipment for illegal purpose and arson. Court case. In the past Saturday, in Chima, we arrested 1 person for desecrating the national flag. A 13-year-old woman has been charged with desecrating the national flag, and the person had an arraignment in Chunmun Registry. And for the violent protest in Xiangshui on July 13th, the police had arrested 1 man on August 29th, and yesterday he was charged with illegal assembly and assaulting a police officer. He had his arraignment at the Fanling Magistracy. On injuries, on the 25th of September, and the arrest in Taiwan and Shatin, we have 2 police officers injured. And from the last press conference, which is Monday till now, the police did not use any live ammunition. Clarifications. Online, from time to time, we see some baseless accusations, which include anonymous ones, and went as far as our officers have sexually assaulted or raped the arrestees. And these rumors is still going viral from time to time. Like I said, on these anonymous accusations, we have strong reservations, and we urge those who have evidence to report to us, and we will follow them strenuously. As for the serious sexual assault allegations, we have strongly denied them. We also noticed that recently, in some suicide cases, some members of the public not only went to the scene and took pictures and put them online, and claimed that these cases were not suicide, and accused the police of not accusing them to be killed by the police, and accused us of not doing an investigation and dismissed the case as suicides. I strongly deny such accusations. And through different media channels, we will try to clarify such suicide cases. When disclosing the details of the suicide case, we need to respect the disease and the privacy of the family members. Thus, we are not able to reveal too much information. On this kind of rumors, which are still going viral online, we feel that the rumor monger are irresponsible, and these are selfish acts and very disrespectful to the deceased and his family members. In some incidents, the family members have clarified with the press that the deaths were unrelated to the anti-extradition protests, and this was a suicide. The family members have made it clear, and yet the rumor mongering persists. This is very disrespectful to the deceased. Well, the rumor ends with this smile, and this rumor-filled world, I urge the public would have to bring the wisdom and differentiate the rumors from truth. And we also saw online that at the community dialogue session yesterday, one speaker was chosen, and so was a police officer, and claimed he was imposing as a member of the public took part in the dialogue session. I want to clarify this. This is not a serving police officer. She had retired a few years ago, and she was an auxiliary police woman. And during off-duty, the police officers enjoy the same liberties as other members of the public. Thus, even have a off-duty officer to take part in this community dialogue, they're simply exercising their civil rights, just like they're voting. Thus, and the supplement I will pass on to Mr. Liu to talk about the public activities over the weekend. Hello all. Tomorrow, on September 28th, in the Central District, there will be a public rally. We'll talk about the police arrangements and make certain appeals. The police have received a notice from an organizer. We are aware that they plan to organize a public rally in the Central District on 28th of September with a site at Tamer Park. And they claim there were 1,000 people attending. After communicating with the organizer and some preparatory meetings and carry out a risk assessment, the police have no objections of holding this rally at the aforesaid location. And yesterday, on September 26th, we have issued a letter of no objections to the organizer. The police will make suitable arrangements in helping those who want to take part in the rally to arrive and leave the venue. And in view of recent circumstances, if the organizers see that there will be a strong surge in attendees or any changes, I hope they can contact us early so that we can discuss early on how to on terms of crowd management.
We have always respected the rights of the citizens to take part in public meetings and marches. And our standing policy is to facilitate as much as possible so that they can have a peaceful public event. And we have the duty to make sure that the public is safe, and we have to safeguard public order, and we have to safeguard the other people's rights and freedoms. But in the past 3 months, we have seen that during the public meetings, there were violent protesters vandalizing public properties and even attacking people holding a different political view. I'm duty-bound to tell you that you're reminded in relation to the following. That is, during the public meetings and after the public meetings, I think the attendees must make sure that they are orderly and they shouldn't do anything to harm public safety and public order. Say, for example, blocking the emergency vehicle access. And then for any unlawful and deliberate damage of their public safety, public order, and the peace of the society, the police will immediately intervene and will collect evidence and will hold those responsible liable for the criminal acts. And we are going to set up loudspeakers on the ground, and this will help us with crowd control. We hope that you will follow the guidance and instructions of the police officers as well as the wardens, so that you express your views in a peaceful and and rational manner. And then should there be any risk or any danger, I will urge those who are attending the event to leave the place immediately. I would also like to urge the organizer, that is, when violence erupts or when there is chaos or anything that is out of their control, I think the organizer must make sure that they tie in with our risk assessment as well as our arrangements, and they have to appeal to the attendees accordingly, and if necessary, they have to terminate the public meeting. In addition, I understand that for online social media, we have seen people appealing to others to join certain weekend activities. The police would like to remind the related persons that according to the law, they have to apply for a letter of no objection under the Public Order Ordinance for a meeting with over 50 people and for a march with over 30 participants, so as to make sure that we can make the arrangements and make sure that the public activity will be carried out in a peaceful manner. All right, that's all from me. And then I'd like to give the floor to our colleague from the Fire Services Department. Good afternoon. Well, recently it is said on the online platforms that different chemicals will be used by the rioters, like phosphorus, etc. Inappropriate use will cause bodily harm. The FSD would like to urge everybody to pay attention to personal safety. Please do not use any dangerous chemicals in the activities. Well, different chemicals have different characteristics. They may be inflammable, corrosive, and toxic. So if you become exposed to such chemicals, you have to remove your contaminated clothing immediately, and if circumstances permit, use a lot of water to flush out the substances, like pouring water from the top of your head. If you breathe in irritant gases, you have to leave the site immediately and go outdoors if you are indoors. On the other hand, if you are outdoors, you have to make sure that you are not standing in the direction of the wind, and you should leave the site and seek medical treatment. In addition, for the protesters, I have to urge the protesters stop setting fires and stop using petrol bombs. Other citizens have to stay away from the scene. Be alert and don't be a bystander. Make sure that you're always alert to your own safety. If somebody is affected by a petrol bomb and if you catch fire, you have to stop immediately, squat down, and then use your hands to cover your face to protect your face. You should also roll on the ground so as to put out the fire. If we have fire extinguishers or blankets, you may also use them to put out the fire. Now, if your skin is injured, then we should use a large amount of water to wash the wound, and then you can do some dressing and also the plastic cling film to wrap the wound. All right, I'm going to sum up the remarks. As Mr. Ng from the FSD has told you, it is dangerous to set fire, and it is a very serious offense to set fire or to use petrol bombs to hurt others, and the maximum sentence could be life imprisonment. We have noted that rioters are glorifying arson and the throwing of petrol bombs. There have been more and more such cases after the public events. On the 31st of August, the rioters hurled more than 100 petrol bombs. We have to put a stop to all sorts of violence. It is our job, but we need your cooperation. We can assure you that we will help you to express your views in a peaceful and orderly manner. But then if anybody breaks the law, we will carry out an investigation and we will bring them to justice. And the police will also continue to maintain law and order. We will ensure public safety, and when the public order is being disturbed, we are going to carry out the necessary
First of all, we understand
action.
the public concern about the use of Sun Lok Leng Holding Center. The center is one of our official and standard detention facilities. Its setting and facilities are all in line with the police policies and regulations. Built in 1979, the center is mainly used to hold illegal immigrants and will continue to serve this main function. However, due to its relatively remote location, we normally prioritize using other detention facilities closer to the city. Since early June, we have used the Sun Lok Leng Holding Center to hold arrested persons only as an ad hoc measures for 4 times during this operation. At peak, we put as many as 75 arrested people temporarily in the center. However, we fully understand the public concern about using these facilities. Many unnamed, unverified, and untrue allegations have arisen. We will stop using the Sun Lok Leng Holding Center for holding arrested person in this operation. The reason is to avoid any further public speculation and unnecessary remarks accusing the police. Regarding the discussion in the community dialogue section yesterday, the police have a few more points to supplement. First, I must stress, the decision to stop using Sun Lok Leng has nothing to do with the groundless claims alleging the police of misconduct like excessive use of force and sexual harassment. We do not accept such anomalous accusations. It's very unfair for anyone to make accusation without coming forward. We appeal to anyone who feels aggrieved by police to make a report to us in person. Any investigation, be it criminal or internal, can only go on with the testimony of witness. So far, we have only received 2 reports of complaint against police related to Sun Lok Leng Holding Center. Our capo officer will investigate into all cases fairly and seriously. Secondly, we understand the Sun Lok Leng Center is relatively remote and not well connected to the city center, with not many options of transport. And it's unavoidable that when there is need to arrange medical or legal assistance for arrested people, it takes longer time compared with normal circumstances. We understand there's some discrepancy between public expectation and our actual arrangement, but we believe such delay is understandable and reasonable. Thirdly, we must reiterate that we accord high priority to safeguarding the rights and welfare of detained people. Our procedures are governed by internal guidelines and regulations, like the police force orders and force procedures manuals. Despite the difficulties in handling a large number of arrests in recent months, our officers still perform their best in catering to their rights and well-being. Any complaints can be channeled through our capo mechanism. We will look into them seriously. Now I'll move on to talk about a public order event. The police has received a notification from an organizer for holding a public meeting on Hong Kong Island this Saturday. After conducting risk assessment and liaison with the organizer, we have issued a letter of no objection to the organizer. This public meeting will be held in the Tamer Park with an estimated crowd size of 1,000 people. The police always respect all citizens' right to assembly and to express their opinion freely. We continue to work with organizers to ensure public order events are able to proceed in an orderly and safe manner. However, it is clear that demonstrations in the past 3 months have descended to reckless violence as radical protesters hijack public order events and exploit them to commit violent acts. Therefore, we appeal to all participants to stay calm and peaceful when taking part in the event. We are also aware that some people promote some unauthorized public events this weekend. We appeal to everyone to follow existing laws and procedures to notify the Commissioner of Police. That allow us to make respective arrangements to safeguard public safety and public order. Now I'll give an update on arrest figures. So far, we have arrested 1,596 people throughout the whole operation. There are some significant observations regarding the figures. Some schools resume on 1st of September. We have arrested 550 people, out of which 207 were students of secondary schools and universities. That is about 38% of the total. Compared with the period before 1st of September, only around 25% of all arrested people were students. This shows an upward trend in the number of students being arrested, and is an alarming trend to us. It is worrying to see these youth breaking the laws and possibly having criminal records at such a young and tender age. They may act under peer pressure or may be manipulated by others in committing such serious crime. We appeal to all youngsters to rethink their actions and hope the education sector and parents will help our young people to walk the straight and narrow path. As for new arrests, on Monday, we arrested 4 people aged between 16 and 48 years old for offenses like possession of offensive weapons. On Tuesday, we arrested 15 people aged between 14 and 31 years old in Saturd and Mongkok. Their offenses include unlawful assembly. On Wednesday, we arrested 2 people aged 16 and 17 years old in Saturd. Their offenses include assaulting a police officer. On Thursday, we arrested 1 19 years old man for arson and possession of instruments fit for unlawful purpose. In conclusion, the past 3 months have been continuously unrest and have divided families, friendships, and fraternities. Deep wounds have been opened in our societies. These will take time to heal. The government has said they hope that conversation will triumph over conflict. In the coming weekend, the police sincerely appeal to every member of the public to adopt peaceful and rational means of expression. We regret to see peaceful progress yet again being hijacked by radical protesters to inflict indiscriminate attacks on innocent citizens and commit violence acts like throwing of petrol bombs. Please allow me to remind you that arson and hurting others with petrol bombs is a serious offense liable to life imprisonment. I must emphasize, no excuse, no propaganda can justify or glorify such acts of violence. We all should stand up to stamp out violence right now. Thank you.
好，問題時間開始。明報。
Manpower, 3 questions. I'd like to ask about Sanuk Ling. What are the nature of the 2 complaints? Can you talk about the brief facts? And last night, the CE claimed that the IPCC would review the Sanuk Ling. And now, in the public, there are a lot of accusations against, for example, excessive force. And tonight there will be a rally against the Sanuk Ling. So the police decision to send to detainee to arrest to Sanuk Ling would be a wrong decision. And the 3 young persons and the outside Samshui Post Police Station on 9th. And the police applied for protection order from 3 men from 13 to 15. The magistrate decided that the police will not need to apply for the protection order. And 1 15-year-old girl, the charge will be possession of a laser pointer and a respirator. And the counsel claimed this charge was wrong. In fact, she was carrying a small torch and a surgical mask. Does that show that the police have arrest and try to use a protection order to restrict the right of the youth? And third, on the police public relations. On the 3 months on the protest, a lot of the opinion poll shows that the level of mistrust and the public police tension is all-time high. In such bad relations, since with the operation branch, if anyone in the bench will need to be held accountable, and how to rebuild the trust. I will first take a question on Sanuk Ling. For a second question, I'll have Mr. Lee to take the question. I will answer the third question. In my opening speech remarks, I said that the Sanuk Ling is a facility compliance with several set of standards instead of protection of privacy and security is the same of other detention facilities. For the condition of Sunderland, for the decision to use it at the detention center, I don't see any problem at all. The biggest reason of stop using Sunderland is not anything wrong with the detention facilities. And there were a lot of baseless accusations, and despite multiple clarifications, and yet there are plenty of others who keep leveling such accusations. You mentioned there are 2 complaints filed through CAPO. I have not revealed the case details. One of them I will do a notifiable complaint in which the were made by his counsel on the procedures of meeting the suspect, and another will be a non-viable, which is the person claims someone on TV claiming that the arrested were detained, assaulted in Sunderland. I cannot reveal any more details at this stage. I'll let Mr. Lee to take the second question. As for the case you referred to, I'll divide into 2 parts. The first part, the case itself was about the charge against the arrested person. For the second part, we have the problem arisen from child protection orders. So while the police will need to go through such procedures, that's in accordance with the Youth and Children Protection Ordinance, which is CAP 213, of the details of the care and protection order. And we found any of the arrested persons, which were assumed to be young for young persons or children, and found that they will need to be taken care of. So by that we mean, like for example, he was assaulted, abused, or neglected. Another context will be they will be uncontrollable, would get to the extent that they would lead to injury to himself or the others. This is not unique to this operation. Sometimes we see that at night, nocturnal at-risk youth and those being neglected youth, when being arrested or intercepted, will also apply for a care and protection order. One key point is that we're not using this as punishment to that person or the family, simply for their own welfare. Well, we'd like the court to decide whether we need to be detained in a holding center to protect their welfare. And for the case you referred to, the court would deem that to be unnecessary. So that means that the parents need to take care of the person concerned. We're not using this to punish the arrested person or their family members. I don't know about the case details. I'm not able to answer the question right now. As for the third question on the public police relations, we noticed that at different platforms, or even some opinion polls, they're showing the perception of police by the public. In the past few months, especially for large-scale violent events or those commit law-breaking activities, the police will need to take law enforcement actions. As for our frontline colleagues who were frequently heckled by the public, and there were a lot of basic accusations online, which affected public trust of the police, we truly feel helpless. For the level of trust, to be fair, we have been paying close attention to local opinion polls as well as the comparable surveys abroad.
In year 2008 and even up to 2019, well, in fact, the Hong Kong police force has always achieved a very high ranking. We were given recognition, we were praised, we had a very good quality, high-quality police force. At the same time, it was also because we have a sound legal system. And within the police force, we have got very stringent internal guidelines, and we have excellent training. And we have an established mechanism to monitor the police. So we have got all the institutions. In addition, our police officers, even up to the year 2018, 2019, we have got recognition for our good work. This has not changed. For the past couple of months, there was a lot of unrest in Hong Kong, but still, day in, day out, the police force is still carrying out our daily work, say, for example, investigation of crime, traffic management, dealing with the public. So we have been carrying out our work as usual, and as a result, our crime rate is still being kept at a very low level, in fact, the lowest for 40 years. Admittedly, there have been changes in the past 3 months. A lot of events have degenerated into violence. They challenge our rule of law. They affected our facilities. This is unprecedented, and in fact, the police is facing a huge challenge which we haven't seen before. Well, on the first day that we take up our job as a police officer, we don't have a choice. When people break the law, when there is violence, we have to carry out our work. We have to enforce the law. Now, for the past few months, there were a large number of acts of violence, and it was on a massive scale. The public have become doubtful of the police. In particular, we have a lot of fake news and a lot of smearing. All such would affect and have affected public confidence and public perception of the police. Yes, we have noted the public perception of the police, and we have also noted the ratings of the police. We do accept the criticisms if they are justified. And in the coming days, we will certainly follow up on the suggestions and recommendations, and we hope that we can restore public confidence as quickly as possible. Now TV in the front. I'm from Now TV. Well, at the last press conference, there was mention about the yellow object. A few more footages were circulated. It's clear that the person pinned down was an individual and not an object. So a person was subdued, and would you change your reference instead of calling it a yellow object? It's a person that was kicked. So would you agree that a police officer kicked a person dressed in yellow? Please also explain why he did that. And then a question on Sanuk Lang. You said in the past that the other police stations did not have space, did not have room to accommodate so many arrestees. In future, if we have got a large number of arrestees, what are you going to do? If other police stations can cope, how come that in the past you used the Sanuk Lang holding center? Now, police officers are having their Weibo accounts, like one attached to the Hui Fong police station. Well, they said that we were too kind, too merciful towards the rioters. Well, since they did so in the name of the police force, is it a breach of your force guidelines? I will answer the first question. As to what happened in a rear lane last week, I think in your question you mentioned the case. Well, probably if you have watched the video footage, I think you know that at that time, let me repeat what he said.
Which shows what appears to be an officer kicking a yellow object on the ground。佢係咁講，佢係講當刻佢見到嗰段比較模糊嘅片段，佢睇到。
He said that the video clip was blurred, and he said that he saw the police officer kicking a yellow object on the ground.
Before I was interrupted. 其實當日如果回想翻個記者會裏面咧，其實
Well,
係一個
thinking
好
back,
雙向
I
嘅
think
問
it was a
答，一路有人 interrupt。
two-way
咁
sort
所以
of
咧，佢係有講過你講嗰句嘅，佢真
dialogue.
係講過。
So he
佢當
did
刻
say
睇到嗰
what
段好
you
模糊嘅
quoted,
片段裏面
that
咧，
is, it was a
係見到個
blurred
同事咧
footage,
好似
and he saw his colleague
踢緊一件黃色嘅物體。咁但係其實同一個記者會
apparently
佢自己
kicking
澄
a
清咗
yellow object,
就係
but within the
喺
same
冇
press
interrupt 之前佢講
conference,
咗話
he
嗰個
clarified
可以
what
係
he
一個
said.
object
Without
person
interruption,
back
he said that it could
咁
be
我
a
諗咧
person
佢自己已經喺個記者
or
會
a
嘅
bag or a
其中一
vest.
部分裏面
So
作出咗澄清咧，
he
我就
already
唔適合
clarified
幫佢
what
作
he
出澄
said
清啦。我諗我只
as
係
part
引述
of
翻
that
當日
press
喺記者會裏
conference.
面
It's
嗰
not
個
right
情
for
況。
me to further clarify on his behalf
你
today.
另外提及到咧就係
He also
關於
mentioned
嗰一刻我哋後尾揾多咗啲片段，我都想即係
that
借呢個機會
further
作出少少
footage
嘅
was uncovered afterwards. If I may also provide some additional information. Well, on that day, our press conference focused on a particular clip. At that time, we already said that other clips were available, and indeed, other
其實第一樣嘢我想講咧，其實
clips were available and circulated online afterwards. I want to say that what happened at the time was that there was a large number of protesters, and they were surrounding our police officers at the end of the rear lane. There were over 100. We were at that time carrying out a stop and search operation. 2 were stopped and questioned. Now, we were charged by a large number of protesters. Our work was affected, so we tried to take them to a relatively safer spot, so the rear lane. And you also saw many police officers there, and some tried to push our police officers, and one was pushed to the ground. And we took that man to the rear lane to carry out the stop and search action. Well, amidst the chaos, we tried to carry out an arrest, and in fact, our colleague was bitten by that male. Well, at that day, the press conference was focused on one single footage. Now, well, we have the benefit of other clips, and we got more information now, and so I would like to provide more details to you. Well, as far as we can tell, from the available online footage, I don't think the very serious allegation that our colleague was kicking that man can be established. The only thing that can be established is that the officer who was dealing with that man carried an orange a gun with an orange handle, and when he was dealing with that man, that gun did sort of swing above the man. Now, this is a very serious allegation, saying that a police officer kicked a man in the rear lane. And therefore, we took the initiative to look into the matter. We examined more information. So far, there's no evidence to show that our colleague did kick that man. At this moment, we haven't received any complaints, and the allegation wasn't aired by the person allegedly kicked. We want to have more information so that we have more details. Well, for those who have shot the clips, please come forward. And if the person involved feels the need, please also come forward. And I mean the person making the allegation, so that we can take up the matter seriously.
Speaker of mic. Put it this way, Sunok Lake is one of our detention facilities, and this has been used to deal with illegal immigrants. So it shows you that Sunok Lake at the same time could deal with a large number of arrested persons. We don't use Sunok Lake, and yet there are large-scale arrests. Well, we can't deny that we might need to use other detention facilities in urban areas, police stations. Well, if the place is not big enough, we need to spread different locations. So for the procedure arrangements, there will be another challenge. But does that mean that it was wrong to use the facility? I don't get this logic. Well, to use a larger facility to deal with it is a matter of resource allocation. But now is this gap with public expectations and also with the lawyers and the police all along we hope to improve ourselves and hope to try to accommodate the public expectations. Thus, we decided not to use Sunok Lake and use the detention facilities in the urban areas. However, they might come across other difficulties. I hope that we get your understanding. Otherwise, the police cannot do its work because each option would have pros and cons. Well, next question, I leave to Mr. Kong. Well, in my opening statement, I said that my colleagues, including myself, during off-duty, the rights they enjoyed would be the same as the public. The freedom include using social media or social media website. I will not comment on specific social media software. So concerned that when our officers are using their social media, would they include sensitive information or their operation details for political neutrality? That when officers are on duty, they will need to be neutral so as to not affect the impartiality during their enforcement actions. Well, when they're off duty, the officers enjoy the same rights, for example, voting. So if officers vote, does that mean they're not politically neutral? So while we work, we need to maintain the neutrality to deal with our work fairly and impartially. As for the using social media, we have simple guidelines in place. For instance, we cannot put sensitive confidential operation information onto their social media postings. While using social media, they need to have this sensitivity. So in the process, they will not have the perception that they will compromise the image of the police. As we all know, the social media scene is quite heated. There were some remarks were made and then someone would distort their statements or over-interpret them. That we shall remind our colleagues to be careful. Let me repeat that for the management ranks are concerned about the impartiality of our colleagues at work, we will also respect our colleagues' rights that we are entitled to. Xinhua News Agency, 3 questions. Just now, in your opening remarks, you mentioned that some of the serious violent acts, for example, the rioting, the maximum sentence can be 10 years imprisonment, arson can be life imprisonment, and for the using a dangerous chemical substance. The maximum what is the maximum sentence? And for the anti-extradition crisis, there are multiple incidents of desecrating national flag, and the government claims that you will follow up seriously. And what is the progress? Third question. And for the public meeting on Saturday, you will already get the letter of no objection from the police. Besides this weekend, on the upcoming National Day, and what preparations have police been made to maintain public order? After Mr. Kong taking first question, and for the national flag, the desecration, I'll let Mr. Lee to take the question. As for the upcoming public events, I'll defer to Mr. Liu.
In
the opening remarks, I mentioned the sentencing for rioting and arson. And since early June, in various public events and protests, some of them, besides, like I said, committed arson, have also hurled unknown but turn out to be corrosive substances. Those who try to hurl corrosive substances in public events, they are in breach of the Hong Kong Law Cap 200 and Criminal Law Ordinance, which is the wounding offence. And for Section 17, for the wounding with intent, they were liable to life imprisonment. Like I said, some of the crimes will be glorified. For example, the hurling of corrosive substances so as to make time for their friends to escape. You are simply glorifying obviously illegal acts, unlawful acts. The hurling of corrosive substance may lead to life imprisonment. Please don't believe that claim that this is righteous acts. Now I defer to Mr. Lee. I can share with you some figures. As for the 1st of July, as for till last Sunday, in total we have 9 incidents of national flag desecration being investigated, 5 of which we have arrested the perpetrators, and some of the cases already in court. Introduced the National Flag and Emblem Ordinance. We deliberately burned, vandalize, graffitize, or stomp the national flag that we consider a crime that may be liable to 3 years imprisonment. So I urge the protesters that while expressing their opinions, they should not to desecrate the national flag.
我回应一下，就是在
For the upcoming weekend, there will be some public events, especially in the media. They are also making certain appeals, so promoting them. The public have been noticing, they've been monitoring them, as well as carrying some overall risk assessment. In terms of deployment, in accordance with the results of risk assessment, will make the relevant deployments. Our objective is to ensure public safety and to maintain public order. And for the operation details, or part of the operation details, we cannot divulge. I mentioned earlier that we appeal those who intend to stage public events over the weekend, I hope that they can follow the law, which they call under the Public Security Ordinance, to liaise with the police and apply for the letter of no objection.
In this way, we can prepare in advance and facilitate their activities so that they can carry out their event in a safe and orderly manner. Thank you. SMP.
From South China Morning Post, the first question is, last night's chief executive's community dialogues held at the Queen Elizabeth Stadium. So did the police contribute to the choice of the venue, and what's the original risk assessment to hold the event there? And the second question is, last night the chief executive and other officials couldn't leave the venue until 1:30 a.m. This morning as protesters surrounded the roads. So what was the security consideration at the time to let them stay in the stadium for like 4 hours instead of clearing the roads or let the chief executive to talk to the protesters who wanted to talk to them? And the third one is, what are the police plans on October 1st, as there are many activities to be organized by both anti-government and pro-government groups? Thank you.
First invite Mr. Kwong to answer the first one, and Mr. Liu to answer the third one, and I will answer the second one.
Okay. For the first question, I'm afraid that in the choice of the venue and the security arrangement for an activities attended by the chief executive is considered to be quite confidential. So I'm not in the position to disclose at this platform. However, I could tell you something in general about the risk assessment in the policing, the arrangement of different activities or events. Of course, as the law enforcement agency, our top concern is about public order and public safety. In particular, this event was attended by the chief executive. So we'll liaise with different stakeholders, include the LCSD, which is the stadium that the event was held, and also our police community relations officer will have liaison with some stakeholders in the vicinity of the stadium, including the schools as well as other government venues nearby. And also, we will have stringent risk assessment about whether any notified or unnotified public event will be held in Wan Chai or near the venue. And of course, last night we encountered some difficulties that we have some organizations or people who held some public events or some protests in the vicinity of the stadium without notifying us. So we have to ensure we have the sufficient manpower to deal with any sudden event event or any possibility that could happen in the vicinity. And I think that's it I could tell about the event.
I think for the second question, I think because you're asking about the specific arrangement yesterday, I'm afraid that I cannot disclose such specific details about our decision made on the operations. But in general, our operation decision is based on risk assessment and ground appreciation. And last night, I think all of you can see that more than 100 protesters dug up bricks from the pavement and occupy roads around the stadium. And they also blocked the entrance of the stadium, preventing certain people from leaving the venue. And so our officers on ground had to appreciate the situation and make respective arrangement in response to the risk involved at that specific moment. That's what I can answer. And I'll pass the floor to Mr. Liu.
You mentioned about the events that is going to happen on 1st of October. I must say it is now still a very big challenge for the police force as well, because so far we have only received a very limited number of applications for the letter of no objections. I think one of them, some of you may know, there's an organization already applied it to conduct a large-scale public meetings and public processions on the 1st of October. Which the events will start with a public meeting at Victoria Park, and then following the procession routes from Causeway Bay, Wan Chai, and they choose Chater Road as their destination. The notifications, they are estimating the attendance up to 200,000 people. And regarding this application, the police is now still having our risk assessment, and we are considering it right now. And of course, I must say, as usual, we assess the risk of each and every public order events and decide whether it is appropriate to issue the letter of no objections based on the most crucial point is the public order, public safety, as well as the rights and freedom of other road users, which is our main concern. As I said at the beginning, it is a very big challenge for the police in a sense that I think all of you may also aware there's a lot of propaganda from the social media with many events that people said they are going to held on the day from the early morning to the evening. Some of the events haven't mentioned any specific time. With that in hand, I must stress again, we from the aspect of public order, public safety, as well as protecting the life of other citizens, we hope that all the organizers, they can come out, approach the police, giving us more information, discuss with us, and apply for the letter of no objections appropriately according to the law. It is also important to remind citizens if they have plans to join any of those events which haven't been properly notified, which according to the public order ordinance, they may also have the chance to commit the offense of unauthorized assembly. Thank you.
最後3位，後邊港台。
Last three questions. RTHK at the back.
Hello， 香港電台。
Hi, I'm from RTHK. A question about Sanuk Lang. Just now you said that you will stop using it. In future, should there be a large number of arrestees, you are going to spread them across a number of police stations. Well, you said that you stopped using it because of the rumors. Well, earlier on it was said that lawmakers or justices of peace would like to visit the Sanuk Lang holding center so as to understand the procedures, but then they were not allowed to do so. So, police, would you consider this matter, even though you are not opening it to all the members of the public? Are you going to allow more visitors? And then there is information online to say that the police would use other places instead of Sanuk Lang, that is the refugees camp at Daya Island. Is this true? And what is your assessment for the events, for a number of events between Saturday and the 1st of October? Well, some newspapers have said that the police is going to change the strategy on the 1st of October when the roads are blocked or whenever acts of law-breaking are identified, then you're going to act immediately so as to prevent things going out of control. Is that true? Yes, I'll try to answer the second question. Well, you talked about saying that we'll use another center. Well, we haven't heard of that, so there's no way I can comment on it. For Sanuk Lang, it is a standing facility for detention. Well, because of the need to uphold the security, as a general rule, we don't make arrangements for visitors to visit our center. As I have said, we are not using it anymore, but then Sanuk Lang holding center will still be used for holding illegal immigrants. We haven't got arrangements to admit visitors in relation to a detention center. For the other arrangements, we will liaise with the relevant policy bureaus. Once we have made a decision, we will inform you. As to the third question, I'll defer to Mr. Liu.
As for the 1st of October, I mentioned earlier, on that day, I admit there's a huge challenge. For example, the uncertainty you cited, this uncertainty based on that we're part of our intelligence investigation, and we will face up to each situation and make a suitable deployment. As for the handling, from the beginning to now, the major principle and approach has not changed. For our overarching principle is that before taking operations, besides law enforcement as our major task, public safety and order is also a part of our consideration. That for our operations impact to the public presence as well as the public safety, as well the event impact to the public will also be a consideration factor. Last two questions. Aisle 3.
Hi. Can we follow up? Can we talk about this Saturday? Police have approved the public assembly near Tamer Park. The same protest organizer also applied back in September 15th, and their application was rejected. And that one of the reasons given during that letter of objection was that the protest was near high-risk buildings such as the government offices, government headquarters. So what's changed in terms of circumstances that made the police approve the upcoming protest on Saturday? The second question is about the yellow object controversy. So what happened last Friday, I believe, was that the police denied wrongdoing. You said that the reports were untrue, that an officer kicked a person wearing yellow clothing. And then you said that you're not sure whether that's a person, a vest, or a bag. So is that how police conduct your investigation? You first deny wrongdoing, and then you said you haven't finished your investigation, you need more information. So can you further explain the process of police investigations? My third question is that the Hong Kong National Party's Chen Ho-tin just said he was assaulted, and earlier last week we also saw pro-democracy figures like Roy Kwong, also an Apple Daily reporter, assaulted. So can you update us on the investigations for these cases? Or do you see any links in terms of these assaults, and what are the challenges in investigating these assaults? Because as I understand, you haven't arrested anyone yet. Thank you.
I'll first invite Mr. Liu to answer the first question, followed by Mr. Lee for the third one, and I'll come back and answer the second one.
Regarding the event tomorrow, that the police has already issued the letter of no objections. I think you mentioned that you're comparing with other events that the police have issued a letter of objections before, which in some of those I've also attended the appeal board myself. I must stress that the police treat every applications for the holding public events very cautiously and seriously. And as you know, that it is according to the law that police have the duty to facilitate and help the organizer to arrange all peaceful protests, which is our duty to do so. So I must say that it is also a very difficult decision for the police to raise an objections because of course of the threat assessment at the time. And then I have some figures at hand that for the past 8 months, I must say that there are altogether 620 applications for the letter of no objections, which among those we have 594 issued with letter of no objections, which is talking about a rate of 96%. Of course, in view of the recent situation, we do have consideration and objected a few, especially in the last few months. Regarding the events, comparingly, I can only say that we make every decisions very cautiously. It is not easy for us to object because we will have lots of meetings with the Department of Justice, making sure that we are fully justified according to the public order, public safety, as well as balancing the rights of other people, freedoms, so and so, before we can make the decisions. So this time we consider that having a look at the track record of previous events, we think that it is manageable, and we hope that the organizers will also help us to make sure that people are joining a peaceful and orderly event.
Would you be able to get further on the difference in circumstances? Because we're talking about similar location, this very same organizer with a good track record, the situation or like what's going on.
Okay, maybe I supplement a bit here. According to my information, the objective event, which was scheduled for the 15th of September, right, was a public procession plus public meeting. The nature of which is totally different with the one scheduled for this Saturday, which is only a public meeting. So I think it's unfair to compare the applications of two totally different nature of public events, and that's it I could supplement.
As for Mr. Chan's the case, the situation, yesterday we have already charged him with two offences, namely the unlawful assembly and the assaulting a police officers in relation to an event in Shangshui in the August. Because the case is already in the prosecution phase, so I'm afraid that I'm not allowed to discuss in detail what's going on for this gentleman. Sorry.
Well, my question was about him, like he was saying that he was assaulted earlier when he was making his way to the floor. So I'm asking, it was more of a general question on the assaults on pro-democracy figures, basically, in the past days,
I'm sorry, I have no information on this question. Sorry.
Okay, for your second question, I think because the Saturd person you mentioned basically was arrested for assaulting a police officer, and that case is under judicial process, and that's why I think I cannot make any comment on the process or the details of our investigations. But I must say that the commanders on that day, I think you were talking about the press conference on Monday rather than last Friday. Yes, on Monday. And the commander on that day basically made such remarks after looking at the very blurred video. I think what he mentioned on that day was not a conclusion resulting from a thorough investigation. The full remarks include the word appears to be, because on that day the resolution of the video was quite low and making it very hard to see very clearly on that day. And I must say that on that day he was making his point, he was interrupted a few times during the press conference. And so that's why, to be fair, he later clarified himself in the same press conference that could be an object, a person, a bag or vest. That's what he said in the same press conference. And I think the most important thing he did or he would like to address in that press conference on Monday is that he would like to call for that witness who filmed the video to come forward and help us in investigating the case. And we are focusing on the fact-finding on that day, and we shouldn't let such words distract us from the investigations. And I would like to mention it clearly, because after a few days, after reading a few more videos, as well as we did some inquiries with our officers, because at that time a large number of protesters basically were behaving in a disorderly manner at the scene. And police officer did intercept 2 people for inquiry, and because the situation getting more tense and worse at that time, and the police need to retreat to the alley for the border search as well as the inquiry, because at that time we need to find a safe place, which is the alley, to handle the arrest and to avoid any further confrontation with the protester outside the alley. And eventually that man was arrested for assaulting a police officer, and when our officers handcuffed the man, he even beat one of our officers. And he did push one of our officers before he was brought to the alley. And from the videos circulating online so far, basically we still cannot substantiate such serious allegation, i.e. our officers kicking the man. And what we can confirm so far is that our officer, one officer at least, was carrying a shotgun on his shoulder, and he swung on top of that arrested person. That what we can see clearly on one of the videos. We hope to get a full view of what happened, so we appeal to those who have the original footage to get in touch with the police. And we certainly accord very high priority looking into these very serious allegations, and that's why in the past few days we proactively take measures to shed light on the issue. But so far we do not have any evidence to substantiate this very serious allegation, and that's why we still keep on appeal to the public. If you got any information, please come forward and give that information to the police. Thank you.
今日嘅最後一題，好，前邊呢位，前邊呢位，唔該。
獨媒記者想問就
I'm from media. Well, on a single night during the Occupy Central movement, 500 were arrested. People weren't taken to Sanok Lang. So on this occasion, you didn't arrest as many as back then. But did you sort of have a special meaning when you took people to Sanok Lang this time? You also said that off-duty police officers also enjoy the same civil rights or civic rights. Now they have got batons and they can carry out their duty even when they are off-duty. So what happens now is that even off-duty police officers can also carry out their duty. So I think, won't you agree with me that even off-duty police officers should also keep their political neutrality and they shouldn't make any remarks that would be seen as politically biased? For the first question, I don't think I can answer your question. I don't have information as to where the 500 arrestees were taken to. And then on different days of the operation, there would be different factors for consideration. Now, if you try to compare our case here, that is taking the arrestees to Sanok Lang, with what happened 5 years ago, I'm afraid I'm not in a position to comment on that. I haven't got the information. Mr. Kong, please. Yes, before I address the point about political neutrality, I think I can also say that some off-duty police officers have been issued with extendable batons. Well, this is because for the past 3 months, we have seen more and more acts of violence. And tragically, we have seen acts of vandalism of public properties, facilities of the MTR, and more people were breaking the law. So we would like to be more effective in handling such cases, and therefore we have issued the extendable batons to our officers. Well, let me say this again. When our officers are off duty, they enjoy more or less the same rights and freedoms as everyone of you. When I first joined the police academy, and it is now called the police college, we did made an oath, and we are duty bound to enforce the law, and the police force ordinance is clear. when we exercise our police powers, then we are regarded as an on-duty police officer rather than off-duty. So I think it is clear. When an off-duty officer is in the street, if he sees someone breaking the law, robbery, chopping others, injuring others, should we turn a blind eye? If we turn a blind eye, would it be contrary to what we have pledged when we joined the police force? Well, I think I've made myself clear. When we exercise our police powers, we know what we can do and what we should do. If our officer is denied certain rights and freedoms just because of this, would it be fair to him? Please consider this matter. And then, when it is said that we need to be impartial, we don't want to cause any misunderstanding, but does it mean that an off-duty officer should sit idle and do nothing even when there is arson or other crime? Thank you.